So hello and welcome everybody to Cricket Reborn once again, and we are here for a very auspicious occasion and something we all are waiting eagerly. And this is the World Test Championship, the India versus New Zealand, the final time, the final showdown here as India takes on New Zealand for from 3 days from now. And here we have got a very special guest out here sharing the screen. It brings in immense pleasure to introduce to you one of the finest of the coaches of all time. He has been someone who has nurtured stars like Devon Conway, Finn Allen, Robin Rachindra, the future stars of New Zealand, and many more. Well, not just that, he's also the present head coach of the Wellington Firebirds and also the former head coach of Newzealand A side. Well, welcoming all the way Glenn Pocknall, sir, for you, all the way from New Zealand. Welcome, sir. A very good afternoon. Well, it's just good morning over here, and the sun is shining bright, unlike the conditions of Southampton.
Oh, thank you very much for that kind introduction. Yeah, it's look, my privilege to be joining you and cricket. Three sleeps time. It's going to be an amazing time, I guess, as a cricket fan, not just for Indian fans and New Zealand fans, but fans around the world. So I'm looking forward to having 5 or 6 nights of no sleep again.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. The thing is, first and foremost, what I would love to ask you is that 3 days left for India and New Zealand. How excited are you? Just as a cricket fan, how eager are you for this contest?
Oh, look, I thought I wasn't very excited about the New Zealand England series, but I got up for that pretty quickly as soon as the first ball was bowled at Lords, and that, I guess, in some way was a bit of a raiser to this event. So, look, I'm very excited, but I think once that first ball happens or the toss happens, I think I'll be more excited then. And as I said, I'm actually, in a funny way, looking forward to not sleeping. Certainly experienced that in the first 2 tests, and certainly looking forward to seeing that in a few nights' time or a few days' time.
Yes, absolutely. We have got similar feelings like you, sir. And the next thing that I would love to ask you is that, perhaps taking you back to 10 to 15 years from now, and that is, we all have witnessed ODI World Cup. We have also witnessed the T20 World Cup later, and you have been with cricket since a long time. So, have you ever felt like there could be a championship for the Test? Some 10 to 15 years back.
No, absolutely not. Like, New Zealand have punched above their weight for a lot of years now, and certainly got very close in terms of white ball cricket. But look, this is the pinnacle. It's a pinnacle for cricket fans. It's a pinnacle for players. So to be in this position as a fan, first and foremost, and seeing our country being in a position where they can be world champions, it's a dream come true as a fan, because it doesn't happen every year, and certainly we've probably seen a lot more downs than we have ups, and that's the nature of the beast of the game of cricket. And the time is right for New Zealand to win one of these trophies. So let's keep our fingers crossed, everyone here in New Zealand anyway, that the right result in a few.
Yes, absolutely. New Zealand have gone through various ups, but right in the finals and the semi-finals, since the last few years, things haven't gone right for them. Well, this can be one of those occasions where they can kick off India and just get on with the World Test Championship trophy. Well, let's quickly take back you to the lineups. Since there have been many good performances, especially from those persons who are known to be warming the benches, like whenever they've got chances, players like Will Young. Then when you look at players like Ravindra Jadeja or perhaps Riddhiman Saha, even in the intra-state match, inter-squad matches, they have really played well. So even looking at Matt Henry, how he performed. So there have been plenty of guys, talking points out there, who is going to play and who isn't not going to play. So right before the final, let's start off with the playing 11. So starting off for New Zealand, do you think for the openers, Devon Conway and Tom Latham has to be, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a no-brainer, I guess. Tom Latham is opener for 7 or 8 years now and performed very well, averaging over 40. And Devon Conway's introduction to Test cricket has been, I guess, unbelievable to describe it in one word. And look, he's set the world alight with what he's achieved in those few matches. So those two are first and foremost pretty easily into those positions.
Yes, absolutely. And how good was Devon Conway? You have seen him from a very closer perspective. You have been with him from its downs to the ups. On 2017 from South Africa, he came back to New Zealand. So, what was the feeling? When you saw him? Coming from arriving to New Zealand very very first. In the initial phase. So, what strikes in your mind? What are the things that did you ever imagine that Devon Conway? He would be the person getting a double turn and making the honours board of the Lords right away.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. I guess my first experience of him was when Bruce Edgar, the former Wellington Firebirds, coached him to come along to a trial game that we had, and after 3 or 4 balls, Devon played an unbelievable cover drive that everyone around the world now has seen, but that was the first time I'd certainly seen it. And Bruce and I just silently looked at each other, and we didn't say a word, but we looked at each other as if to say, "Wow!" And I guess that was our first glimpse of the quality that he possessed. And yeah, I guess fast forward 4 years from that moment, he's worked so hard to get into a position where he's first of all made his debut, but then going out and succeeding so well in his debut and breaking so many records is testament to the bloke, Devon, more than anything. He's just diligently worked so hard on his game and wants it so much, and he's not the one to go out and talk about his goals and his vision and things like that. Certainly deep down has got a massive amount of desire to be the best in the world, and he's going the right way about it, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And the performances that he's providing, right away from the first up, it releases a lot of pressure from Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor, and the middle order out there from BJ Watling and so on. So, do you think so? Now coming to the middle order of the New Zealand lineup, that is Kane Williamson. He didn't play the last game, but he has to be there for the final. And Ross Taylor has to be there for at number 4. So there is also another guy, Will Young, who really performed well in the last test. And there is also we can see Henry Nichols is performing really well. So do you think any chances of Will Young getting into the side? Anyway, perhaps you need to make some tough calls.
Unfortunately, I don't. It is unfortunate, and I use that word quite strongly because he has done everything that's asked him effectively from the Black Caps management, come in and perform his role to the best of his ability and contribute to a Test match win and a Test match, I guess, victory over England. So he's done everything that's asked of him. However, he's competing against 3 guys that are averaging 40 in Test cricket, and they've done that over a long period of time. So it's fair to say they're going to get the nod in this instance, which is difficult for somebody like Will Young, but he'll certainly get his chance in years to come, I'm sure.
All right. So shifting the gears towards the Indian lineup at the moment. So this will be very much the first 6 are very much predictable. Bearing that, do you think Mayank Agarwal could get a go instead of Shubman Gill because Mayank has got a better record against New Zealand, and Shubman Gill isn't in that good form, but once again in the intra squad matches he really performed well. He scored some 85 not out. So with Rohit Sharma, who do you see opening for India, or who do you prefer?
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good question, and I think it's you can go either way with both of those two because they both are very good batsmen, and they're both shown that over a period of time too. But I think in this instance, you've got to go with the most formed batsman, and whether that's the 85 not out that you go off from the other day. I think it's pretty hard to ignore that because they haven't played much cricket of late, or Test cricket either. So having that time in the middle and scoring that 85 out has to probably tip it in his favour, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Rishabh Pant. The next remains the same. This has to be the guy. And so speaking about that number 7 position of both the sides and the bowling lineup. Now this is a hectic thing that the management has to incur. Speaking about the New Zealand bowling attack. Also, the number 7, there are plenty of options. Mitchell Santner, Daryl Mitchell. Then there is Colin de Grandhomme. Also, you can have a Kyle Jamieson and attack with Ajaz Patel and get 3 paces out there right away. Perhaps so. Who do you see? Filling that spots, the 4 bowler lineup, bowler spots, and that one all rounder for New Zealand.
Yeah, that's another tough one, and that's the challenge for the Black Hats management. Look, I think the determining factor will be the conditions, whether they feel it's going to turn and whether they feel spin's going to play a major factor in the game. And if it is, they can't go past Ajaz Patel. He's the best spinner in the touring lineup for New Zealand at the moment, and he's bowled so second test. So if they feel spin's going to play a part of the game, then look, he has to come in, which means somebody like Colin de Grandhomme is going to miss out. Mitchell Sand is going to miss out. Daryl Mitchell miss out. So you're going to lose a little bit in the batting, but you're going to gain a hell of a lot in terms of having that quality spin option. Conversely, I guess to look at it from a different way, then potentially playing a guy who hasn't played much in terms of the Test Championship over the 2 years, but they've got to weigh up all the factors in terms of how the conditions are and what they feel is going to be their best chance to take wickets, and that's a winning track, and they need to play. If they feel it's going to be a seam between, I'd go with Colin de Grandhomme because he's proven as a bowler he's very successful at Test level, and look, he can be very destructive with the bat if he gets in, and he can add some valuable runs from that number 7 position too.
Absolutely, and facing a competitor like India, you need to have good balance in the side. So this will be a tough call for New Zealand management. And speaking about the bowling lineup, do you see Matt Henry? Now, there's one interesting thing what I feel. Neil Wagner, Team Saudi Trent Bowl. These could be the likely options. Also, Kyle Jamieson, the other one. But do you see someone like a Matt Henry getting a call early, perhaps in place of somebody like perhaps they've got 2 left-handers, Trent Bolt and Neil Wagner, perhaps ahead of Neil Wagner. Who knows? Because Matt Henry has troubled them in the 2019 World Cup. If you look, that overcast conditions, we as Indians, we simply can't digest that fact. And once again, right here in the last test against England, he really bowled very well. He gets that off stump and that fourth stump channel. He hits it very hard and gets the ball slightly nick away from the right-handers, and that is where Rohit Sharma, perhaps the opener, the top order of India, has struggled a lot. So, do you feel that it would be a very witty decision to get in someone like Matt Henry over there?
Yeah, it'll be a good chat that they'll be having around that. And I guess from my perspective, I think he's clearly good enough to be in the 11. It's where he can be placed in that 11, which is the challenge, because there's no doubt he can take wickets, and as you say, he's shown it over time. He can do it against India, and albeit different formats. But look, I think he won't slot onto the 11 just because I feel Southey can play that role very similar to how Matt Henry has played. And look, I think Wagner provides a point of difference where he can go to that short ball plan if the ball's not swinging. Trent Bolt being the class left swing bowlers, and Kyle Jamieson, I guess, being a swing bowler but also being a bounce bowler using all his height. I think the variety in that attack is very well suited, and that just means someone like Matt Henry would miss out. Like, I don't think you can play Southey and Henry in the same team just because they're very similar.